Hi everyone, and happy December. Today we're going to talk a little bit about stories. What is a story? Well, to me, a story, at least in the scrapbooking world, is a collection of memories. And this little program that I'm going to talk to you about today, our Story by Stacy Story Starter program, helps you tell your stories. And one of the things I love most about it is it's great for a seasoned scrapbooker like me, or it's great for a brand new scrapbooker who maybe has never scrapbooked before, feels a little intimidated, and is a little afraid to put their stories on paper. So we're going to talk a little bit about how this can help you do just that. So our story starter programs come in a little kit just like this. Isn't this one cute with the black and white polka dots? We also have red ones and striped, multicolor stripes. In your packet, you get a book, and there's some cool things about these books. The inside lining is darling, right? And you're also going to notice that each of these books has already inserted and sewn in memory protectors, 10 of them, and they're very high quality, nice and thick, very durable. In addition to that, you'll also get story cards, 22 of them. Some of those story cards have, well, let's go back to the ones that have just the lines. Here we go. Some have lines on one side. Hopefully you can see that. It might be kind of hard to see on the camera. And on the other side, it's blank. So you can choose whether to use the side with the lines or the blank side to add your stories. They also come with cards that have some really great quotes on there. This one says, "It's the little things we do and say that mean so much as we go our way." And there's a couple of other really great quote cards as well. And you're thinking about, what do I do with all of that? There's one more thing that comes in the kit that is exactly what you need to be able to create a little story starter album. And that is this little story starter workbook. When you open it, it shows you what comes in your kit, tells you what you need to go with it, which is very simple. All you need is a photo trimmer, a journaling pen, and some adhesive. That is it. That's simple. Oh, and photos, of course. Then it has you choose a subject for your album. And I'm going to give you some examples of some really fun subjects that we've created albums with here at Close to My Heart. It has you gather your photos for that subject, and then it has you list some things about your memories, and then once you've done that, it helps you break down some of the things about those memories so that you can tell them in your book. It tells you exactly, step by step, everything you need to do to complete one of these beautiful little albums. And this month, December only, you can get these kits up to 30% off. So that's something important to know, important to remember, because now I'm going to show you some story starter albums that are complete. And I know that once you see them, little ideas are going to start going off in your brain, and you're going to be going, oh, I want to make one about this, and I want to make one about that, even if you're watching this and have never scrapbooked before. I feel confident enough to tell you I think you're going to have some great ideas. So I'm going to start with a couple that I have right here in front of me. This darling little striped one was made by my friend Nicole, and it's all about travel adventures with her mom, Michelle, who's also a friend of mine. And each of the pages are a different place that they have traveled and some memories of that place. So that's simple, right? You gather 10 photos of a place you've traveled, and next to each of them you write the things about it. And this little album, or this little workbook, teaches you exactly how to do that so you don't feel lost and not sure how to write. This helps you do the writing yourself and access those memories that maybe you have kind of closed the door to, and they'll open and you will be so excited about what you create. So this album is tons of fun. And I wanted to mention, you'll notice there are a couple of places in this book, like here. This says the places we've been. In addition to the little kit that I just showed you, Story Starter has 2 optional stamp sets. Now I want you to know they are not necessary. You can create a Story Starter album with no stamping at all. Or if you like it to be a little extra fancy, there are 2 really great stamp sets that go with Story by Stacy that you can get to go with it. So these are the 2. One is called Quotable Words, and the other is called Colorful Textures. And I'm going to show you some of these stamped in an album in a minute. This is the perfect size to stamp on one of your pages, and then you'll notice all these fun little things you can scatter around, plus a few words. This one is fun quotes that you can add to your albums, and I think there might be one in this book here. Okay, here we go. This page, you'll notice, it says, 1,000,000 feelings, 1,000 thoughts, 100 memories of one person. And that's just stamped right there, and then the journaling went right under it. So this is, like I said, a fun travel album. This next one that I want to show you is this one, this little polka dot album. This one was also created by my friend Nicole, and her very favorite Disney character, and let me just tell you, Disney is a big deal for Nicole. Her very favorite Disney character is Donald Duck, and she created one whole story starter album about why she loves Donald Duck. And each of these pages has a picture with Donald and something about Donald that she really loves. So they don't have to be, I think sometimes we think about telling a story and we think it has to be this deep thing. And sometimes the coolest things about us that we might want to leave a legacy for people to remember are the little things like Donald Duck, right? So that brings me to one that I just finished creating right here. And you'll notice I have a little bookmark or two in here because I wanted to point out a few things to you. I just added a little bow to mine and a title. This little book is about when I lived in Oklahoma from the time I was 5 till I was 8. When I was growing up, by the time I graduated from high school, I had lived in 7 different states. And I have so many wonderful memories about each of the places I've lived, my adventures there, the place we lived, the friends I had, the things I did, the things I was involved in. And I was thinking not very long ago, my grandkids always say to me when they come over, "Grandma, tell me a story about when you were little like me." And I realized I can do that in these albums. So I have started a series. There will be 7 of them for each of the states I lived in growing up. This one is about Oklahoma, and I want to show you a few things about my Oklahoma album. First of all, let's talk about photos before I show you. So hold on just a minute. I don't have a lot of photos from when I was 5 to 8 years old in Oklahoma, but I have tons of memories. And so I just Googled a lot of these things and found free images of some of the things I remembered, which I'll show you. So first of all, I wanted a picture of the house I lived in Oklahoma, and I found it on Google Earth. Unbelievable. It's still there, and it looks so much like when I lived there. So that's my title page, and I just added a little thing here with the stamp set that says the address of where I lived. I'm going to flip here. One of my favorite things about when I lived in Oklahoma were all the wildlife adventures I had, and I told about some of them here. One time I woke up and there was a snake in our house. We lived right by a creek, and there was a water snake in our house, and the night before when I woke up and we found the snake, I had dreamed there was a snake on me in my bed. There maybe really was, I don't know. We used to catch toads, we used to catch turtles, we used to catch fireflies and let them light up mason jars, and I told my grandkids about all of that here in this little story. Another thing I remember about Oklahoma is my friends and I in the summertime would sit out on the driveway on the hot cement and play jacks until our hands bled. When we would just play with the jacks, and of course I have no pictures of us playing jacks. But what I do have is a free Google image, and I can find that online and tell my story right next to it about playing jacks. I also wanted to talk about the school I went to and the one time that I got in trouble and had to go to the principal's office. It happened, it really did, and it was embarrassing. And that was back in the days when you got paddled and I got paddled. And so I found a picture of my old elementary school, a picture of me in 2nd grade, which is when it all happened, and I told that little story right here, which I'm not sure all of my kids should read. I shouldn't be giving them any excuses to misbehave, right? And this book is filled with, for me, precious memories of a really memorable time in my life. When you finish your album, there's a little card that you can use at the end that shows who created the album. This is a picture of me, and I've written when I created the book. So this little album is one of 7. And I brought this little basket because you don't just want one story starter album. Even if it's not a series, you could do one about your favorite flowers. You could do one about your favorite teachers growing up, your favorite television shows. You could tell all kinds of stories, and I love the idea of storing them in a little basket or jar. In fact, Stacy shared that idea a long time ago. Who Story by Stacy is. You probably all know who Stacy Julian is. She is the face of Story by Stacy, and this is all her brainchild. Anyway, I will have a basket or a jar that my grandkids can come and pick a little story about me out of and be able to read about me growing up. These little albums are 4x4, so they're the perfect size to put in a little basket or a jar so that they're easily accessed. And another thing I love about this is whether you're a seasoned scrapbooker or a new scrapbooker, this really takes very little time. And you feel a sense of accomplishment when you're done. Whereas when you're doing big scrapbooks and they're just, continuing with life all the time, sometimes you feel a little bit like, oh, I'll never catch up, which is okay, that's okay with me. But I love that I can make a story starter album and it's done. This little album about Oklahoma is done and ready for my grandkids to read about me catching toads or getting sent to the principal's office or playing jacks till my hands bled or twirling the baton and all of the things that I did while I lived in Oklahoma. And they'll be able to read about my life in South Carolina and my life in Kentucky and my life in New Mexico and all of the things I did growing up in those places and know me, not just now, but for generations to come. I love that. Sorry, got a little emotional there. So now that I've shared what Story by Stacy is about, just a reminder, you can get it for up to 30% just this month.